Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Are y'all ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, the show will begin in approximately 5 minutes.
Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Well, hello everybody. Time for another Sunday afternoon hangout live stream. I got a little few things I got set up for today. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. I need to get a couple of things out of the way. First of all, let me know how the sound and the video are looking. I've got a new video set up in here, and I'm not doing headphones and microphone today. I'm using the regular computer. So if you can't hear me, let me know. Jim, Bjorn, and Largo, if y'all let me know how things sound, I'm going to just continue to talk. I've got a few things set up today. Got a little video I want to show y'all from something that happened yesterday, and we do have Wun-Dar in the house today. I went ahead and went over there to Damn Evil Bay and got him. Couldn't help myself. It's like crack, you know, you got to get your fix every once in a while. So I got my fix in. I'm going to share that with y'all. I'm going to show y'all how to open a figure in such a way that you can actually put the figure back in the package and it looks kind of like it hadn't been opened, and you can display it that way. And yesterday, Grindhead Jim and I hosted a auction for our good friend Rollo. We did great on that. We were able to raise over $700. We sold most of the items, and did a fantastic job. And I think that it's wonderful that we were able to do such a thing. And I'm going to go ahead and tip my mitt here. Jim and I got something else up our sleeve on that, so stay tuned. So that there may be more to come. Let me shout out to the chat real quick. Let's see who all's here today. We got Bjorn Jorgensen. Good to see you. Jim Largo, I'm glad you stopped by. Grindhead Jim in the house today. Good to see you, sir. Who else do we have coming in today? Time Vault. It's good to see you, sir. I'm glad you showed up. If any of you guys want to hop in with me, I've got up at the top there a pinned comment with the StreamYard link in it. Holly Perrin. Well, it's good to see you, my dear. I met you the other day on Ancient Order of Men last night, and it's good that you came in. I appreciate you coming by. Rolando Flores, good to see you today, sir. I'm glad you stopped by to see us. And who else? I think I've got everybody covered right now. Yeah, Bjorn, now we got the usual suspects in today as well. So I'm going to share something that happened yesterday on Grindhead Jim's stream. If good to meet you too, Miss Holly. Good to meet you too. I'm glad that you stopped by today. Jim, if it's all right with you, I want to show a couple of things that we did towards the end of the stream yesterday. Some of you guys may know this. Some of you new people may not know this, but I am an amateur magician, and a couple of magic tricks were coaxed out of me yesterday. And I would like to share that with you guys right quick, if you don't mind. So I'm going to go ahead and show that real quick. And here we go. When I was a young man, I told my dear dad that I was going to join the Army, and he said, "Oh, that's great, son. I just want you to know that every place that you're stationed, that right outside the post entrance, there's going to be a street out there, a street filled with nothing but vice and sin, prostitution, gambling, drinking. And I want you to promise me, son, that whatever you do and wherever you go, find that street. Okay. And so I did. In my naivety, I found that street. And on that street, there was a man. And he was doing this thing called the Monty. I don't know if you ever heard of the Monty. The Monty is a card game. It's done with 3 different cards. And he showed me the cards. He said, I got a joker, another joker, and a queen.
2 jokers and a queen.
Is to find the queen. And the first thing he did was a hinky little move, just like that right there. And I said, I caught you. I saw you do it. You put it on the bottom. He said, you owe me $1, kid.
Oh, wow.
And I said, wait a minute. If there's a joker on the bottom, then maybe the queen is still on the top. And at that point, he showed me the top card, and it was a joker. And I said, okay, so the queen's in the middle then, right? Nope. It was a joker in the middle as well. And I said, well, wait a minute. You don't even have a queen in the deck. He said, that's another $1 that you owe me, kid. I said, what if the queen's on the bottom, then the queen can't be on the top. And once again, he pulled that top card up and showed me the queen on the top. And I said, well, if there's a queen on the top and the bottom, the queen can't be in the middle. There in the middle said the queen. Another $1 gone. And I said, wait a minute, you got more than 3 cards there in your hand. And he counted them out. 1, 2, 3. 3 cards. So I said, okay, I'm out $7. I quit. He said, wait a minute, let me give you a chance, double or nothing. He said, I'll even make it easy for you. I'll show you the top 2 cards, and all you have to do is tell me what card is left. And the guy come up next to me, and he said, you better not say joker, because if you do, it'll turn out to be a queen. And I said, knowing my luck, it's going to be a queen joker. And the guy said, you owe me $14.
Wow. I don't have a freaking clue how you did that, but holy cow. Holy cow. Just awesome magic, man. That's insane, man. I love what you do, man. I love what you do. Truly.
Now, right now, Jim, I need you to look directly into your camera just for a second. I need to look into your eyes, because I'm trying to get into your mind. I need to plant just a little something right there. And I've never done this over the internet. It's always been live. So I've always been able to have contact with the person. And I'm thinking I can feel it. Can you feel that, Jim? Do you feel me right now? Do you feel that?
In the air tonight. Yes, I can.
All right, good. All right, great. We got that established.
Jim Larson says, careful what you wish for. Some doors should stay locked. It's talking about getting in from
I understand, and I use my powers benevolently. I do not enter people's minds without them allowing me in, and I don't rummage around when I get in there. And I'm afraid if I did rummage around in Jim's mind, that it would be traumatic.
For you, yeah. Whatever you say there, Counselor Troy. But in all fairness, Bill's a powerful man, and I'm making fun now. I don't know what awaits me, so I could be, who knows? Who knows what could happen? Who knows what could happen? But it won't happen until someone goes to grindheadgym.com/MMM.
That's absolutely the truth.
And makes a donation.
I will have wasted that energy. It took a lot of energy to do what I did, because, as I told Jim, I've never done this over the internet. It's always been a live person in front of me. So this is going to be a new thing.
the fact of the matter is that you are going to do this live over the internet because we just got a $15 donation from Jim
Oh
DeLargo.
my
Cannot stand
God. He
This is-
can't stand it. He got to see it.
Can't
All right.
stand it. So, do you need me to make any of your screens bigger?
The magic cam needs to come up.
What you're watching right now, my friend Bill Thompson, aka Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, is about to perform a magic trick, and he's already entered my mind, and I don't know what's coming. And
Okay. On the table, well, this is a trick. It first of all, we've entered your mind. Okay. So these cards were prepared in advance earlier today. Okay. Just in the chance that we could have this opportunity. They've been on the table the whole time. I haven't had a chance to monkey around with them or anything. Everybody's watched this live cam. It's been on the whole time. All right. Imagine in your mind, Jim,
okay,
the 4 queens of a deck of cards. You have that?
yes, sir.
All right. Now, I want you to picture in your mind me with the deck of cards in my hand as I go through the cards and I begin to pull out queens. All right. And as we know, in the deck of cards, there are 4 queens.
Yes, sir.
There are 4 cards on the table. The queens come in 2 different colors, black and red.
Correct.
So I began to pull out queens. I pull out 2 queens, each of the same color. What color queens do you see in your mind me pulling out of the deck at that time?
Red.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about red queens. The black queens have been set aside. We're talking about red queens. Of the 2 red queens, there are 2 different suits. There's a diamond and a heart, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to take one of those queens and I'm going to turn it face up. Which one? Heart or diamond?
Diamonds.
Diamond. Okay. Now, to prove to you that this is real, to prove to you that I actually entered your mind and planted this, the queen that I pulled out of the deck is actually from a different deck of cards. Not only that, it was the only queen at all that was in there.
Wow. Wow. Holy hell. I know, and I now remember what the story was that I was going to tell.
I went in there and picked at that too. Sorry.
No, I don't think you're sorry at all, pal. That is the most fantastic card trick I think I've ever seen, and I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. Really, really, really cool stuff, man. Just amazing work, dude. So good.
What y'all think about that? Hey, we got somebody joining us today. Let me intro him right quick. Welcome, Grindhead Jim. How's it going, my friend?
It's going great. First of all, I love what you've done with the place. This looks great. This is really good. You're upping your game, and you're one-upping me, and I'm not sure I like that, but that's okay. That's cool. It's fine.
I'm trying to learn.
No, I'm joking, but legitimately, this is really well done. And I remember your first few streams, and your understanding of design space really, really needs to be lauded, man. This is really good stuff. I am nowhere near as good with paint or GIMP as you are. I love those programs, but I just make collages in damn OBS and then take a screenshot. I mean, that's all I do at this point because all my favorite tools don't work in Windows anymore, and I refuse to dive deep into everything. And the fact is that you continue to prove to me that you can teach old dogs new tricks, or reteach them the same old tricks with new gear. Which I know coming from me that probably sounds weird to you, but you're really really taking this seriously. You're really taking it to the next level, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see the growth. Um, I wish you nothing but success, brother. And I realize it's a weird way to start the show, but I'm just
Well,
taken aback with how much you've been able to do in such a short space of time, dude.
well, I appreciate that, Jim. And I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of the tools that I'm using are either free or they're old as the hills. And just like the little bit that I pulled off of the show from yesterday. Uh,
Which
I'm gonna,
thank you for doing, by the way. That means I don't
yeah,
have to do it.
okay, yeah. Well, uh, well, I'm gonna get long winded, but let me just explain what happened. Now, one of the reasons why I was going to come on at 12 and I ended up coming on at 12:30, but so I said, well, I'm gonna have to download the whole damn what was it, 7 hour stream to get this, and that was gonna take me 9 hours. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Mm-mm.
So I pulled it up in a separate tab, and then I popped down into StreamYards and put it on record only, and then put that shared that tab, and then just recorded just the sections that I needed. Then I
Hmm.
popped all of that into Windows Movie Maker, which is no longer supported, and cut it and added one little section in the middle to break it up. You saw that where I said, now I'm going into Jim's head. By
Right.
the way, I slept like a baby last night. Anyway, I put it in there, and then I had to go through the whole spiel of encoding that. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong with Movie Maker, but Movie Maker encodes that thing at the highest thing it can. So it was too big for me to
Uh-huh.
upload to StreamYard. So I had to throw it into AVI Demux and remux the thing. And it remux down to about 119, megabytes.
Right.
And then
And
go ahead.
and it might be a good time for you to learn a new free editing option. Lightworks being one I would recommend.
Okay.
The learning curve's a little out there, but you have enough editing experience, you'll be able to transpose because every program has a different word for the same functions.
Yeah.
And
That's just like that. Yeah.
but once you take
Windows.
that dive into a more professional editing software, it'll be pretty easy to figure out. Because when I went from Movie Maker to into something else and then into something else and then now I'm with where I'm at.
Yeah.
That first leap from one to the next was like and since then it's just been kind of you learn what functions you actually need and you just ignore the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know I have faith. I have faith.
Thanks, Jim. Let me make a quick shout out here. We got some people that joined while all this was going on.
Sure.
Mouser 21's here. We got Boba Hicks in the house. Lobot
Hmm.
showed up. Bruiser Brawler's here. And Lax Sivrak is also here. Good to see you guys. I'm glad y'all showed up. And real quick, I just want to make note. If you have not subscribed to me, please do. There's a red subscribe button down below. Go ahead and click that real quick if you don't mind. I appreciate anybody that does that. I'm on the road to 500 and I'm so close I can see it, Jim. This morning when I got up, I only needed 7 and then it was 6. and I think it's down to about 5, maybe 4 now. I'm not sure because people have been subscribing to me this morning. When I get that 500, you know what I get? I get a special little gift from Susan Wojcicki. I get
I'm
the
scared to ask what that gift is because who knows what that lady's capable of.
It's a community tab. I will be
I know.
able to post directly to my viewers on the community tab, and it will be thrown out there so that other people can see it as well. And I'm glad to be able to do that, and I hope I will be able to. Jim Largo says all this technical babble is making his brain hurt. Well, go ahead and take a drink of whatever that is that's in your hand right now, and maybe it'll feel a little better. Time Vault is saying don't be shy with what software that you use, Grindhead.
Yeah, it's Power Director. I actually got a license for it with the computer that I bought when I had it built. They're like, here's a list of software we can give you. You can pick like 5. And that was one of the ones I picked because I did the research. And at the time, it was one of the best rated ones for using the CUDA cores, which, sorry, Largo. All right. What that means is that it will directly access your graphics card rather than using your CPU. The CPU is what takes so long, and that's probably why Windows Movie Maker is just screwing you up. Because even with integrated graphics, like Movies Maker just doesn't know how to do that. It's not smart enough. And that's part of why they stopped supporting it, because the core of how that program communicates with your hardware, it's like, you know, the old adage, work smarter, not harder. Movie Maker is like Otis from the original Superman series. Like, you know, and I don't have to say anything as him because he just looks around like and he's in my head because
energy to keep those feet moving. I always remember that comment.
Right, and like last he's on my mind because I think I mentioned it during the stream yesterday that I had bought digital copies of a couple movies a couple days ago, and I realized like, oh, I don't have to wait for them to send me emails to get these deals. I just can go directly to the site and find whatever weekend deals they have. And I got another 3 bundle for like $15, so like $5 a film. So again, I was on the quest to go after things I already had a hard copy of that I don't want to have to rebuy to get a digital copy. So I got the Donner cut of Superman 2. I got Watchmen.
Will McLaughlin just showed up. Hey, Will.
Will. Awesome, man.
And
Nice
Jim says he's just going to drink his coffee and nod quietly while we talk all this techno bobble.
But yeah, I got Watchmen, which I love, and it comes with the ultimate cut, so I can just watch that and ignore the stupid theatrical version. And what was the third one I got? I don't know. Oh, Batman Returns. So now I have the only 2 pre-2000s Batmans that matter. And then I have a couple other things. So I watched the Donner cut last night, and although I don't like the way that he reappropriated the music, I don't like the way he used the cues because I remember it the old way, the theatrical way. The rest of the film's way better, in my opinion.
With today's digital technology, I know monkeying with films is kind of a no-no, but I would love to take that Donner cut and just digitally make Clark Kent look like he's supposed to look in the rest of the damn movie. So
that one scene. Scene.
That's the damn jarring.
Didn't they pull that from a screen test or something?
They pulled that from a screen test, and it also used footage that was from the original script instead of the one that was rewritten for that.
I will say that when you compare that screen test rough scene to what they did in the cut that was released theatrically, it's like it's a much more believable and much more serious way of revealing that spoilers Clark Kent is Superman. I loved it, and and I had forgotten all about it because I haven't seen the Donner cut in many years, and I haven't seen Superman 2 in many years. So I was able to watch it somewhat fresh, being as tired as I was after yesterday. And I went, "Oh shit, he's gonna shoot him!" You know, that's great.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I have blanks," and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
Now
and then
there's some holes in that.
Largo was saying here. Let me see and pull that up. Donner Cut's improvement. It could use some
Oh
tweaking.
yeah,
It definitely could, but it is what it is, and it's like the Schneider cut. It wasn't really supposed to ever have been released, but somehow it did because everybody really wanted it and they wanted to make that money.
true. And I'll go so far as to say that if we're comparing the two, I think that as a narrative, that the Snyder Cut of Justice League accomplishes two things. It vastly improves on the theatrical release of the original, and also it works. You can see what he was trying to do. Even if I don't still like that characterization of the Justice League overall compared to what I think we should have gotten,
Mm-hmm.
in the context of it being a Zack Snyder film, like that's a damn good Justice League with what he had to work with for what he had to do, and it's easily his best DC film, in my opinion, easily, because I actually used every character fairly well. But the Donner cut, he didn't have the same resources that Snyder did, including he didn't have all his actors. It was
Right.
30 years after the fact.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
consider what he had to work with, that shit is a triumph.
It really
And
is.
my only real concern with it, aside from just a few wonky shots, the one we talked about, aside from that, I think the sound mix suffers too. I think the sound mix is a big problem. There's certain thing, but that's not why you have me on. I'm just sorry, guys. We're
Oh,
catching
no,
up after yesterday.
that's what they're here for. They're here to watch us ramble and to talk about things that's geeky. So let me say this. You were talking about the Watchmen. Now,
Yes.
many years ago when I was a little bit younger and I did things that I wasn't supposed to, I used to sail on the high seas occasionally. And
Sure.
I have in my possession a triumphant version of the Watchmen that is it has all of the scenes from the Black Freighter inserted into the parts where they're supposed to be in
Yes.
the movie.
Yeah. That's called the Ultimate Cut. It was officially released,
Okay,
which I
and
have. I have on Blu-ray, and now I have digitally as well.
so
To me, there is no other cut of that film. The rest of it is just BS for the
yes,
masses. If you're a
absolutely.
Watchmen, diehard, you have to have the Ultimate Cut, and that's the closest we'll ever get to it being definitive. Because I understand what they mean when they say it's not a shootable script, but given that they did that,
Hmm.
and again, although that's technically a DC film, I don't count it as a DC film. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
Vertigo,
it
right?
wasn't in the DC universe; it was
Right.
in
Yeah, so
Alan
DC
Alan
Universe,
Moore's.
right. So I think that the Justice League is Zack Snyder's best DC Universe film, but I think his best comic book film is the Ultimate Cut of Watchmen. I think that was a masterstroke. And even if because if you're trying to explain the Watchmen comic book to someone and you don't have the comic book to show them, which why would you? Why wouldn't you? But
Yeah.
um, if they need to know what it's like this is the closest thing, and it's because some people just won't sit and read a graphic novel. They won't. And the motion comic, while good, it's not the same. For a person who needs to get into the lore and everything else. Boom, and there's some powerful stuff in there. The way that it was put together, so
Mhm.
I love it. In fact, that's probably how I'm going to spend a good portion of my evening. I might rewatch that tonight. I haven't seen it in
Yeah,
months.
it's pretty long too, so it'll give you something to do for
Yeah.
the rest of the afternoon for sure. Let's see who all has showed up since we were talking. I think I saw somebody coming. Michael Purvis, he came in. Good to see you, Michael. I'm glad you stopped by today. Uh, let's move right along. I was like I told you earlier, I got a good night's sleep last night, and I wanted you to know that because you were kind of concerned yesterday afternoon when my wife and I were chatting with you after the stream was over with, that perhaps that my entering into your brain might have given me a few nightmares or something like that. Well, one of the reasons why it didn't was because there was a few doors in there that I figured I didn't really need to open,
Well,
and I just wanted to nudge that one little memory that was evading you. I saw it hiding behind the sofa there.
So
Just pulled it
you
out.
may have left a small piece of yourself behind, because when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, I don't know if you'll believe it.
Okay.
I woke up this morning at 5 a.m., just like you do. And I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was up until 8 when I normally wake up, on a weekend day anyway.
Well,
And
I apologize.
I realized that I could do with a nap. So I took like an hour and a half nap and then got back up.
Yeah.
But I got a lot done, in that 3 hours. I didn't have, and it was cool because it was before the internet wakes up in the United States, and I didn't have to worry about talking to anybody, doing anything, and I just kind of
Right.
did a bunch of things, and now I have coffee, and I'm ready to face the day. Like, had we, if either of us had a show where the two of us were talking the day after an event like that, after the last one,
Mm.
of course I did do a toy grinds the day after, which was
Yeah.
probably ill advised, but
Yeah.
it was out of tribute to the folks that showed up and did what they
Mhm.
did. But we were smart enough to schedule this at a time where we didn't really have to do anything right after. And this is just chill. Your streams
Yeah.
are always just chill, hang out, have a
Yeah.
coffee, a soda, whatever. But
Yeah.
the real reason I'm here, aside from catching up with one of my favorite people in the world, is that I am fascinated to find out how I have a theory on how it is that you're doing the package opening, because there's a few different things that I know of that exist that I'm too lazy to do.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about that for sure.
All
For
right.
sure.
Well, we're going to get into that in just a second, and let me just tell you, this is not my own idea.
Right.
Okay. I want to give my props out to Todd over there at Hebrew
Mhm.
channel.
Speaking of him,
Yeah.
I double checked because I think I told you about this. I
Mhm.
bought a second web store so
Yeah.
that I can custom out a blue Hordak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
He's
watched
done.
and I rewatched the thing, and I'm like, oh, I forgot he used this and this and this, because I was just going to use paint, and you could do that, but he's using like shrink wrap and all this stuff. And I said, you know what? So I spent most of that first 3 hours I was awake. I was doing research on shrink wrap, heat guns, Dremel tools. I have them all picked out
Mhm.
because sometime before Halloween, we'll say that's my plan. Sometime between now and Halloween, I need to get a few more tools so I can start doing some custom stuff, because people are asking me to do, um, my version of a tutorial on like plastic weld and
Mhm.
everything else, and just start to work on some stuff, because there are a few toys, most notably the Nyland helicopter, the Freedom Force helicopter that I got, that needs some work done on 'em. And I need to just roll up my sleeves proverbially and start working on stuff so I can review some of these toys.
I got somebody
Uh,
down here in the green room. I'm going to pull in real quick, just for a
okay.
second, if you don't mind. It looks like he's doing a little bit of hunting, and I really want to see what's going on here. What you got going on there,
Our
Bjorn?
man in the street.
Can't hear you. Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. You better get that shit. Get it now. Uh, I want one. I know
Can you hear
Jim.
me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah.
you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, show us what you found. Come on. We're on the edge of our seats now. Oh, get him. Get him, Bjorn. Get him. Get him. Give him. Get him. Get me one. Get Jim one. Get Largo one. I know those. I know of those.
Yep. Are there even three?
Right now, they only have the 5 Superman.
Okay, just grab three.
Nothing else. No Batman. No vehicles. Nothing else. Look on the
None
top.
that I can see.
Look on the top shelf, and don't just look in the action figure section. Go over to the Lego section and all that, and look on the top shelves there. That's where they hide that shit at.
And bottom shelf, you got nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're live right now in a Walmart with Bjorn Jorgensen, who has located the McFarlane Superpowers action figures, and
Well, let me go down the Lego aisle.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
make his
Do that
screen
real
big.
quick, man. Just check those top shelves real quick because they could still be hanging around. Now, when you were over there looking at the Superman, did you see the planogram? Did they have sections in there for those to be, or did they just shove them on the shelf?
I didn't check the tag. All I saw was Superpowers, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. You've done well, my friend. You've done well, but we want to make sure that we don't miss out on an opportunity here. So, ladies and gentlemen, live, Bjorn Jorgensen is now in his local Walmart, and he has found the McFarlane Superman figure on the shelf, but he has not found anything else. Bjorn
So far,
is
nothing else.
right. Bjorn is now perusing through the toy aisle and looking on the top shelves to see if there's anything else there. Bjorn, make sure that you move a few things around because one of those asshole scalpers may have came in and hid some toys behind other things so that he can come back and snag them later.
Well, I'm looking.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go for right now. If you find anything else, you let us know. Okay, we appreciate you, Bjorn. All right.
Will do.
All right. Thanks, man. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have confirmation that that the Superpowers figures are coming to Walmart. We've seen them live on the shelf, and we have a man on the street that's pulling those. Go ahead, Jim.
And earlier this week, Jim Salzberg had found some, but not all, and in small quantities.
Okay.
And now that Bjorn has at least found the Superman, and you're getting one, I don't mind saying and revealing because until I knew that the rest of the folks that wanted them were getting some. I didn't want to reveal this, and I was going to hide my haul. He was able to get me Batman, Darkseid, and the Batwing. And
Okay.
they only had they had two of each figure and only one Batwing. He sacrificed the Batwing for me, I believe, and then he only got the Batman and Darkseid. Otherwise, he would have been getting it for anybody. You know Salzburg how he is.
Yeah. I understand.
So
That's
so
fine.
that means that with that procural of Superman from Bjorn, which fucking amazing by the way, pardon my French.
Yeah.
The only thing I would need left in the wave is the Supermobile.
Yeah.
And the sigh of relief that I let out when he had found what he found is like, okay, that this means that anyone else that we have in the field that finds these, I can just focus on getting them to Bill and to Jim and anyone else that needs them. So now, with the exception of the Supermobile, anyone finds anything, I'm like, Bill, Largo, anybody else that needs them. Certainly, Salzburg needs to finish off his
Well,
stuff.
that brings up something, Jim.
Yeah.
Some of you guys may have gone and watched the last video that I uploaded where it was a toy hunt at Helena, Arkansas, where I revealed that some information from over there. And that information was that there are at least two Supermobiles sitting in the back room over there ready to go out on the shelf. And
Right.
she assured me that their fall reset was going to happen during tax-free weekend in Arkansas. Now, I don't know when that is. I know here in Mississippi, it was supposed to be either this weekend or next weekend.
Right.
Now, I toy hunted yesterday, or was it yesterday, day before yesterday, at Oxford and Batesville, Mississippi, and there was nothing new. The planograms hadn't been changed. Just so you guys know, when Walmart gets ready to change the planogram, they start pulling shit off the shelf, and they'll put a photocopy of what the planogram is supposed to look like, or a diagram of what the planograms are supposed to look like on the shelf, so that when they're starting to load the shelf up, they'll know where the toys are supposed to go. And because and when you
breaking
start
news for
seeing
you,
that,
Bill.
you know that they're fixing to change things around.
Breaking news
Well,
for you, Bill.
yeah.
That is this weekend, Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th.
Okay. All right.
In Arkansas.
Okay.
In
So that's
Arkansas.
coming up. That's coming up this next weekend. All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
that saves me a trip today because I was fixing, as soon as this stream was over with, apologize to John at Super Awesome Geek Show for not coming to his show at 2:00 today and running my butt over to Helena, Arkansas, which I don't need to do now because it's not tax-free weekend over there, and they probably haven't changed anything out. So we know that we know that we got Superman coming, and Jim, I'll get in touch with you on the next trip to Helena and let you know what I discover over there, and we'll have that available. And that means that one of the future live streams that I will be doing will feature Superpowers. So y'all stay tuned. You might see something cool to see. And I'm thinking about pulling out my Justice League playset and setting it up for that one. So that might be fun to do. Let's see what's going on.
There's no more Superpowers here. Okay.
Yeah, I see that. And we got a few comments out in the chat section. Okay. About caught up on chat. If Jim, you're watching that chat too. If you see anything that sticks out to you, just let me know and I'll pop that up on the screen. Now we back to what we were talking about. We were going to open Wun-Dar over here, and I had told you that I was going to show you a way of fixing it so you can take the figure in and out of the carded package and still be able to display it on your display in the package carded. And I wanted to assure everybody that this is not my idea. I want to give credit where credit's due. Todd over at Hebrew, he's the one that came up with this idea, and I kind of watched him do it, and it's ingenious, and that's what I'm going to do. And so what I'm going to do here, Jim, is I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Weird Fantastic desk cam. And as you well know, that's going to start taxing some of my CPU when I do that. And things might get a little bit wonky. So if it does, y'all let me know, okay? So we can try to fix this. All right, so here comes the Weird Fantastic desk cam. And I'm going to do this and this. And let's see if that cam is live. Yes, it's live.
Yep,
okay.
It's working.
All right. Here we go. All right, the first thing we got to do is we got to look at the outside packaging here. If you can see right here, that's Axel Jimenez, there's signature, and he's done this picture after Frank Frazetta. So the one side is Wun-Dar on this side. And on this side, we have a picture of Wun-Dar in a crouched position. He's holding a sword and a Zodak gun over here. And on this side, he's holding that axe.
You know, and, I'm not a huge person on collector boxes when it comes to most toy lines, but when it comes to these Mattel creations, you know, the original price point of $18, I think it's a nice addition. If you want to keep it nice, because one thing to bear in mind with what you're about to do, or with the way that I cut off the bubble, it's a very, very easy way to keep that packaging nice and easily to store. So you're not going to bend the card back and stuff like that. Oh, be careful, Bill. Be careful. Oh, wait, or the way Bill would say it, be careful, Bill. You have to do it like that. I'm sorry. You have to be a lot more maternal about it.
Yeah. All I'm going to do is just slice that top tape there. So we're going to put the X-Acto knife back away for now. I might need it in just a second. I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and for the first time ever, we're going to open this package up, and we're going to see what's on the inside. And here he is in all of his glory. It is Wun-Dar, the Savage He-Man. Modern posing for retro play. Masters of the Universe new for 22. It's for ages 6 and above. And we have, like all of the special packaging, we have an extra picture here on the front of Wun-Dar. We have Wun-Dar in the package on the front. We turn it around, and we see Shirella there in the background, Wun-Dar in the front, fighting those skeletal creatures. Now, Jim, I don't know. I'm sure you saw the display at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, but, and I have news regarding that.
Yeah, those skeletal figures were in the display, which makes us believe that perhaps those skeletal figures will be released, and I'm hoping that they'll be released.
I have news on that regard.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's
I want to hear this.
There's a rumor that they're
Mm.
going to creations. Now,
Oh,
when
fuck.
Pixel Dan interviewed the brand manager, he really dug into him and said, "You'd better make these troop builders available for people en masse." He's like, "We're aware that that's a problem. We have a couple ideas in the fire on that, and we do want to make these available to people and so forth." So again, they're not confirmed to be exclusive. I think the rumors going around because people are just salty about everything that's been happening with Mattel Creations lately.
Well,
And I have to be honest.
let me interject there, Jim. I hate to cut you off, but now I'm going to rant just for a second. So indulge me for a moment. Okay, first of all, I saw the interview that Pixel Dan did with that cat, and I could see the look in Dan's eye. And Dan wanted to say a whole lot that he didn't say because he's got in with Mattel, and he doesn't want to screw that up. But Dan's eye told me a whole lot without him saying anything about the untruths that were coming out of that idiot's mouth that he was interviewing. And I don't mind talking about him like that because I have nothing from Mattel to stop me from saying what I believe. And next of all, I think that all of this is just a dry run for moving the entire Origins line online only from Mattel. And it's going to come out of the stores. You're not going to see it anywhere. And the only damn way you're going to buy it is to go to Mattel and buy this crap. And then it's going to be a whole mess of crap. Thank you.
Now, the counterpoint to this would be if they are able to actually make a functioning store where you put something in the cart and it reserves it for 15 minutes, and if they were releasing all the figures and they were doing a build to order sort of a thing where you order it and 2 months later it comes to your house, if they did it that way.
Hold on. You're not going to build any goddamn army if it's on Mattel Creations because you're not even going to get one freaking figure, much less 3 or 4 or 5 to make an army out of. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Think about your blood pressure, sir. I'm saying if they were to do that, they would have to make they'd have to scorch earth the current Mattel Creations shopping system completely. Which
Gosh
I don't
darn it, I said I wasn't going to smoke on camera, and I was going to talk to you about vaping on camera too. But all of this right here has got me so worked up. I've got to stop, and I've got to sit here.
Well, as long as we're not made for kids, which we're not.
My nerves down, Jim. Oh, my word. All right,
that stuff it's smoking and vaping's okay as long as you're not doing kid-related stuff, which we're clearly marked against that. We've got all the caveats in the world, and come at me with Jicky with that. Look.
Well, let's see what Largo said. Largo said something here. He says, hopefully they learned their lesson after all. No, they didn't. They didn't learn no lesson.
Haven't. They haven't.
What is it? Was it fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, and shame on me? Well, they've done this 3 times in a row. So
true.
I've come to the, what is it that we say as computer geeks and computer nerds and in the IT department? If it happens once, it's a fluke. If it happens twice, it's a trend.
Yeah.
So, and what is the definition of insanity, Jim?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Thank you. All right.
And they're
well, thanks, Bobo. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you. All right.
What I will say about direct online sales is that on its face, by itself, and I'm not talking Mattel specifically, okay? If companies chose to do that, it would erase all of their whining and complaining about making retail sales, right? They'd be able to sell, and if they did it to where they had a good, fast turnaround system where they were building exactly what people ordered with a small back stock, that wouldn't be so bad. So far, all of the companies that have tried to do this have failed to do it that way. And if they were going to go with some pro-consumer practices, make it available at a decent price consistently to where anyone who wants one can get one, I'd be fine with it.
Hang on,
I would
Jim.
be, but so
Hang on.
far the track record does not illustrate that.
Hang on just a second, Jim. I hate to interrupt you. Bjorn's happy right now, and I'm happy you're happy, Bjorn. And I'm going to speak for Jim as well. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You have been a godsend to me on this show, and what you did today was above and beyond. And if I could, if there was anything else that I can do for you as a result of you helping us out like that, we appreciate it. And
It was amazing.
Will told me don't hold back. Well, I am slightly holding back because, as I think I did say a few wordy dirge a minute ago, but I told Jim that I'm trying not to curse online because, as my old granny used to tell me, it shows a lack of vocabulary when you can't think of anything else to say except a curse word. So I'm going to go that. And Bjorn says, I can finally stop hunting for superpowers. Perhaps. You keep your eye out for that Supermobile and that Batwing, and you let me know, because in addition to what I might find, I might want to buy a couple of others, for friends of mine. So
Right, whether it be a giveaway or with someone else, because until everyone we know has what they want, the hunt will never end. Hunt will never end.
I hope you directed that toward Bjorn, because I'm not a toy hunting legend by any means. I just go out and show what I find and what I don't find.
You both are, though. You both are.
All right, so let's get back to the task at hand as I finish up this nerve calmer here, because I've got to use scissors and sharp stuff, and I was shaking just a minute ago, Jim, and that's
I
not
understand.
your fault. That's not your fault. I'm not blaming
I
anybody.
mean, it kind of is, because I brought it up, because they are confirmed to be coming. They're definitely coming, which is great, as long as. Now, what I think might happen. This is only a theory. This is not founded by anything. And I think it would be the best case scenario. Okay. I think that what they might do is have an individual figure release at retail for the Skeleton Warriors. And they might do a limited edition, like 3 or 4 pack with like an extra special fun accessory, something a little additional on Mattel Creations. I think that would be the smart play. Now, on the other hand, if they did it in the reverse, where the troop packs were in retail stores and the individual was on Mattel Creations, I wouldn't lose a wink of sleep either. Because either way, they'd make them available at retail, and there'd be something extra special. So.
And Bjorn, I read what you wrote to us there privately, and it's okay. It's okay. If you don't have the money to get that, it's fine. We'll make out. I mean, you've done more than enough, and it's
Yes,
great. We appreciate what you've done, so don't feel bad about that. All right, go ahead, Jimmy. Finish your thought there before I get.
No, that's pretty much all I had to say on it, bro.
All right, so I'm going to cut, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut as high as I possibly can up here, and try to. And I've also got a safety thing over here that I'm going to try to use in conjunction with the bad boy here. But I'm going to start me a cut here, and I'm going to try to cut as evenly and as well as I possibly can, and get just the top off of this package here. So without further ado, I'm going to start doing what I do. If you have anything to say, you say it. I might get quiet here for a minute, folks, because
yes, sir.
What I'm doing here is kind of get in there. There we go. All right, we got our cut started. And I'm going to get the scissors. Let me know if I get off camera here, because I can't see what I'm doing right now on camera. I can see what I'm doing as I'm working, but I can't see what the camera sees. So I'm going to use the scissors here to try to cut just the top off of this without harming the figure on the inside. You guys can see what I'm doing here.
So a small update on the Supermobile and some other stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Jim Salzberg just texted me to say that Supermobile had been available to him on the website. I looked; it's not available for me. So it's strictly going off of what stores have what in stock. And he tried to check out. He got, obviously he didn't get it, but that means that stores regionally are beginning to stock. So it would behoove folks to continue to check. I'm going to post a link into the chat specifically to the Supermobile. If anyone wants to, I'll also post the Batwing as well. That way,
I have a theory about that as well, Jim. These stores that are putting this crap out are not supposed to be putting it out, because and that's why if you see it available and you go in there and you can't get it from them, that's because they're not supposed to have this stuff out and available like that.
right.
There's a date that they're supposed to be putting this stuff out, and they're just, I don't know if it's the employees doing that don't know any better, or just exactly how that's going about. Now I'm trying to do this very easily. I've already made a bad cut on here, but that I think that's okay. It's going to be hidden, and I can always go back and recut a little further down with the X-Acto once I get the figure out of here. So how much further do I have to go? One more little ways here. Just down through here. Over this way. And try to match.
So what kind of cuts are you making? Because we can't see that.
I'm sorry, I was off screen.
Oh, I see. So you just cut it in the front off. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's all I wanted to do. Now, Hebrew, when he did this, he started pulling the figure out of the package, and I suppose I could do that, but I want to go ahead and show you what I'm going to do. I've got a couple of packages back here in the back that have been opened recently. Stratos here would be good enough, I suppose. So all I'm going to do here is pull the inside guts out, and I'm just going to go ahead and rip the whole thing off. I'm sure, Jim, that you would go around this with an X-Acto knife and get it off without getting all the rest of this out. I don't give two flying what's about that, so I'm just
right. And I understand that everyone's different. I look at my method as, if you do want to save the card art, mine's probably the fastest way to do it. If all you're saving is the card.
Yeah, and I can still take this part right here and just cut right down through here and have make a collage out of this.
I mean, and technically you could still save the card art. You're just not going to have the front that's worth a damn. Which,
all right, what I'm going to do,
needs.
What I'm going to do now, I hate to interrupt there, Jim, is I'm going to cut right around the edge here and just get this part here off of there.
Okay.
So, and it's going to be a little easier than it was cutting that other off. I guess you can't see. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to just cut right around this edge here. And this is real easy at this point here, because you're not trying to keep from damaging a figure and all that.
Right. And if you're doing what I think you're doing, this is something that you could easily do with any bubbles that you're discarding, because like you, I only want to preserve packaging on special items like this.
Right. And I'm not going to preserve this part here, because it's not that's the part that holds the comic in. I don't need that to do what I want to do. So I'm just going to come right around across that and come back down. Keep going around this way. Right. Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost. Almost there.
There's two versions of that phrase that I always think of when someone says this. First one is always going to be a red leader in the trench of the Death Star. The second one is the kid in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Almost there, Heather. Almost there.
Okay, so what we got now is we got just the outside bubble here, and what you can do then, I think my camera froze. There it goes. Okay, what you can do then is you can just put this over the outside of it, just like that right there, and you can hang him up if you hang him up on a peg or whatever, and and then you can remove this just like that, and now we can access the figure on the inside. How about that?
And no one's the wiser. Pretty cool.
They don't have to be, and of course, I guess if you got up close to it, you could see it. Now to get this out of here, we got to kind of do that and gets him out. And we can also get the comic out as well. And I want to do that. I'm just gonna pull the comic out and let everybody take a look at that. It says Lost Legend. I'm not going to read it, but I might make a PDF of this. I don't know. Here's the artwork on the inside. This is some beautiful art.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of like wave, like the second or third year of the comics. Moss Man. Yep.
That may give us a clue there of some future releases. I understand he's going to be a Mattel exclusive as well on Mattel Creations. I'm telling you what they're doing, Jim. I already told you, and you're being optimistic, and that's fine. I understand that. I'm a pessimist. Do you know why? Okay. It's not my idea. Benjamin Franklin said this. He said, pessimism is the way to go because I'm never disappointed, and occasionally I get a happy surprise.
True, fair. Now, on the same token, they might make a flocked Moss Man exclusive and then just have a green molded one on the shelf.
Okay, I can deal with that. Anyway, of course, the sorceress, green sorceress. I don't call her Green Goddess. In her one appearance in the original mini comics, she was called what? The Sorceress, not Green Goddess.
Correct.
And there we go. So there's the comic. Now we can insert the comic right back into the package, pretty much just like we got it out, without damaging it, and get it back in its little spot. And so that's what I'm going to attempt to do here without damaging the comic. And get it
now
back
my inquiring mind with this Wun-Dar figure is if he has the inner bubble molding that includes the weapons, or if it's on a baggie. And it looks like they're on a baggie, which is an interesting insight to this character, because all the most recent waves, like the last 2 waves or 3, they've included molding inside of that interior bubble for the weapons to keep them from being bent.
Well, you do know what my theory is on Wun-Dar. I think we've covered that a couple of times.
Yes, that he was meant to be an exclusive at a convention, and they pulled it for whatever reason, and they just hung on to the stock, and now they're letting him out in the world later.
Yeah, that means he's been around for a while, and he was probably actually produced way before they changed.
Right.
They changed the way
and this would lend credence to that, Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for anyone that might be concerned,
I've got the comic back in there, but I'm trying to make sure that this one edge doesn't stay humped up like it is right now, so it's in there properly.
Maybe it would be easier to put the open sides in first than the folded side.
All right, we'll try that one.
You see, because if that's the problem you're having, I think going in that order would make easier mechanical sense, right?
Yeah. You're right, Jim. Thank you for being
I have my moment.
Thank you for being here, sir. You're a great help to those of us who are mentally challenged.
Well, that's not you, sir. That's not you. That's for sure. You're just trying to do 5 things at once. All I'm doing is being an optimist, drinking coffee, and enjoying time with my friend.
I appreciate that, brother. All right, so
we're
going to put that comic back in here without damaging it. Come on. It's live, folks. Anything can happen.
That's right. It's weird. I have a weird dichotomy with the Motu Origins comics in that one, I'm grateful that it's very easy to get a full collection of them because they're duplicated across a wave. But I would rather have an individual comic for each character, though I understand why they're not doing it that way.
Comic is pretty much back in place, as you
it's
can
great.
see. All right, so let's get Wun-Dar off of this package. First of all, the weapons are in a baggie back here, which is okay because these weapons here are pretty sturdy, I think. So it's not like they're going to bend around like you know the original Wave 1 stuff did.
Yeah, the Wwe 1 stuff was really badly choked off by those bags, and power to them for wanting to protect them, but they were a little overzealous with it, you know.
All right, so there's the baggie, and I'm going to go ahead and try to remove this tape off of here. If you want to save the baggies, folks, you can save the baggies, but do not put the tape back on the baggies because over time
it'll eat away the plastic, right?
Yeah, the gummy crap on the tape's going to make a mess that you can't fix. And this is the hard part here, is getting this other piece of tape off. First, you got to find the edge of it,
which the way they wrap it makes it very difficult.
Yes.
And
a lot of times people just give up and cut it. And I don't want to do that, but I may do that. I found it. All right, here we go, I think.
So this would also lend credence to the practice of, if you do have good luck with a baggie on a figure you don't need to save it on, you might just start saving the baggies for a situation like this where it's like, oh, screw it, kind of a situation.
Right.
And the problem you run into, at least for me, is if I cut the tape, that's easy enough, but there's still some tape left on the bag itself.
That came off relatively easily, Jim.
Did it?
And I'm very surprised about that.
Yeah, usually it starts to stretch the bag and it ruins everything. And
yeah, I do have a blemish over here on the side that you can't see on the camera, but it's because it's the camera there, and I'm just using my finger to try to get that off there.
Sure,
and
sure.
There's a hole here, but that hole here is an air hole that was already in the baggie to begin with.
Right.
So we're gonna pull his weapons out real quick. This is the axe. Now I've got a figure over here on the side. Where did I put him? Here he is. That has a similar axe in his hand. So I want to real quick. Let's compare these axes here. The axe that comes with Buzz Off here is a darker plastic than the axe that comes with Savage He-Man Wun-Dar. So
it's good that there's nothing wrong with reusing the weapon mold, in my opinion, but I am grateful that it is a different color. That keeps it somewhat special.
Exactly, and you can't have people that make themselves a Wun-Dar with things and just include a Buzz Off axe with it, thinking that people won't notice. So this axe here that goes with Wun-Dar is much lighter in color than the one that comes with Buzz Off. So rest assured, you can't get those mixed up.
Nope.
All right, can't. Set that axe aside. What else do we have in here? We have a sword, and the mold on this sword is the same mold that was used with the sword that came with Origins Castle Grayskull.
Yes, sir. And which itself is an homage to the original sword that came with the original Grayskull.
Correct. So that's the second weapon, and the final weapon is the Zodak gun, which I don't think anybody ever included with their Savage He-Man after they put the Zodak armor on him. The axe, the sword, yes. The Zodak gun, no. I've never seen anybody actually put that in their Wun-Dar hands, a vintage Wun-Dar I'm talking about. And if they did, that gun would have been black, not brown. Okay.
But as it is, it's a cool accessory, and I'm all for more guns in He-Man. I'm all for more guns in He-Man.
Yeah. So there's the weapons, and now it's time to take Wun-Dar out of the packaging here. I've got one little edge of rubber band to get off of here, and I saved these for various purposes. I think the one on my Battle Cat, I saved it just so that I could hold Battle Cat's armor on its head.
Oh, okay.
You can't see this in toy photography because it's clear and it blends in. So that armored piece just falls off of his head. There's nothing really holding it on there. So if you say,
and are you telling me you don't use magician's wax for that?
why would I when I got a rubber band? Magician's wax is not for something that heavy anyway, Jim.
That's fair.
Did
I tell you that I finally got a little cube of that in a
yes,
case like yours?
yes. I'm so proud of you, Jim. See the top of the castle over there? I've just moved the camera, and you see the gargoyles sitting on the top of the camera. They're on there with magician's wax. That's that. I generally don't put anything heavier than that on magician's wax. Now, I will admit that the minaret up there is being held on with a little bit of magician's wax. However, it's heavy, but gravity is holding it down on the surface of that, so that when I pick it up to move it, it doesn't just fall in the floor and then bust into a million pieces, and I got to make another one.
Right. And for those that are watching, those little tiny red gargoyles that are on the castle are part of the Battlefield Warriors 2-pack. That's a Target exclusive, I believe.
Is it
And
was?
and it is still available in some Targets, and you can probably get a really good price on it in clearance if you find it. It is also the only place to find a vac metallized Battle Armor He-Man. And between that and the Grayskull floor piece and those gargoyles, I think it's worth especially the clearance price. Plus, if you don't have a Battle Cat, hey, free Battle Cat.
Hey, Jim, I don't think I'm going to do it on this stream, but in a future stream, would you like me to show how to get those arms off of Battle Armor He-Man?
Hell yeah.
Okay. The arms on Battle Armor He-Man are not the same. They are, but they're not. Okay.
The way that they attach is different.
They attach differently. They're the same arms that are on the regular He-Man, but the shoulder piece is attached differently. And there's a different way of having to do that if you want to swap those arms out so you don't look like a bloody mess.
Right.
Anyway, here we go. We're going to pull old Wun-Dar off of his blister here, and his feet are unattached, like Wave 1 figures were unattached. The new waves, they have two little holes down here with some plastic crap, holding his feet in, and it's not that stretchy stuff either. It's those little tab things. It's those things that are going to put holes in our McFarlane capes. I'm gonna pause here, folks, because I told this guy I was going to do this, and I'm going to do it now. I have already ordered these. Okay, we already know what's going to happen with our McFarlane figures. They're going to be attached to the blister with a little piece of plastic that's going to put a hole in the middle of your capes. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the way the S looks on the Superman cape anyway. It's too big. There's a fellow called the Cape Master.
Yes.
If you look in the description today, I have a link not only to his YouTube channel, which is brand new. It's brand new YouTube channel, Cape Master, the Cape Master. Go now, as soon as we finish this stream today, and subscribe to the Cape Master and give him some love. But I also have a link to his Facebook page. And you would go to his Facebook page, friend him to DM him, and you can get capes for your figures. And he doesn't make capes just for Superpowers figures. He makes capes for Masters of the Universe or anything that you want. You just have to contact.
He does. And I've been kind of touting his stuff for a very long time, pretty much since day one.
Yeah.
And I will say that I don't think there's anyone that does soft goods better than he does. Period.
All right. Now, I don't know if he's still got it going on, Jim, but for a limited time only, get to the Cape Master as soon as you can after the stream's over with. For a limited time only, he's selling 2 capes, Superman cape and Batman cape for the McFarlane figures in the colors that they need to be, and they will be less than the price of 2 capes separately at this time.
He does tend to do bundles in general. It's kind of
Mhm.
his thing. He also has a website where he sells directly through. And
Okay.
when you place any order, he gives you a coupon code for 10% off on the site. And depending upon if you're going on eBay or direct sale, whatever, you might be
Uh,
able to save some money.
well, Jim, pop that into the chat for everybody, and I will add that to the description when I
His
edit.
eBay store? Sure. Yeah, let me find it.
Yeah. All right. While Jim's doing that, I'm going to continue. We're going to talk about Wun-Dar here, and he's got the standard. Let me get the camera back down here. Let me see. There we go. He's got the standard head. Arms do what they do. Full rotation. Elbows. Arms pop out of the socket, as we know. Comes apart at the waist. He's got the legs, the knees, careful feet, and he's got the ankle rotation. So we've all seen it on a million figures. So there it is, and he's got a black version of the Zodak armor. And those of you who may be wanting to get a Seth Rollins to make your own Wun-Dar, remember the Seth Rollins Zodak armor that comes on the Seth Rollins figure is going to be the armor that came with Classics, not the armor that comes with Origins. And it's going to have a gold color on it as well. So thank you, Jim, for putting that down there in the chat. So there we go. We have Savage He-Man. Wun-Dar is out of his package. And let's see how he holds his weapons real quick. He comes with, instead of an open hand, he comes with 2 gripping hands, as you can see, folks, so he can hold both of his weapons.
I also have to say that, all of the availability and exclusivity argument aside, his paint deco is really, really good.
It is.
Um,
It is.
and all the things that you have illustrated about it being clearly produced around Wave 1, that explains the relatively low run that's there. Doesn't mean they couldn't make more, Mattel, but it logically it makes sense even if I don't like it.
Well,
But all of that said, like his paint deco is really, really clean. And it looks like, and if you can grab a He-Man, it looks like his skin is a little bit darker than traditional He-Man by a lot.
it could be. Now, my go-to He-Man down here is kind of a custom. So
Sure.
this is not going to be definitive by any means. I would, because I don't remember what skin tone I used on that one. I'm trying to move something around here that's in the way. Let's put that over there. Oh, hopefully this is the one with, yes, here we go. Here is He-Man. And when I bring him out, you will see that his head is not going to match the Wun-Dar head at all. And that is because the head that is on here is a head made by a customizer. And what he did was he took vintage He-Man's head and actually made a mold of it and molded this head and painted it so that you could have the original head, because the original head looks vastly different from the head that they've created that's supposed to mimic that. So let's move him over just slightly and move him closer. All right, so I'm going to zoom in, and we can see that the skin tone on Wun-Dar is a little different from the one on He-Man, but it's not by very much. And and some of you might be thinking, oh, it's because of your lighting, Bill. Perhaps not. Let me move the light around here a little bit and see if it changes things any on the camera. But I'm here in person with it, and I can tell you that the skin tone on this figure is just slightly lighter than this one. Now, is it light enough to where you would notice that on camera? Probably not, unless you're really looking. Is it light enough to notice in person? Yeah, probably. But while I've got that there, I want to grab something else that I have over here from a while back. Hebrew had one that he was showing off today or yesterday, and that's Ric Flair. And one of the nice things about Ric Flair, woo! One of the nice things about Ric Flair was that he comes with a pack of hands, so that you can have closed fists, gripping fists, and open hands for the right and left hands. And we're gonna look at the color of the skin tone of this figure, because Hebrew was kind of wanting to use it as fodder, and I'm gonna pop his head off just to get it out of the way. And I'm kind of reluctant to remove his robe, but for the sake of you viewers, I'm going to do this. I wasn't ever going to remove his robe, but I am removing the figure's robe, and I'm going to do it over here because it's just,
and his head.
Yeah, I got his head off of there because it's just, I didn't want it in the way.
And this is from the WWE Classics line, which shares some bucks from Origins.
Superstars, Jim.
Superstars. Okay. So it's the Superstars collection, which shares some bucks from some from Origins, but does share the connectivity. So you can still do all the customization style stuff, but they're traditional characterizations.
They're more reminiscent of the Remco wrestlers.
Sure.
And that's exactly what they're going for with the packaging and everything. As a matter of fact, I've got Honky Tonk Man's packages here where I can grab it real quick, and I'll just show you guys. This is very reminiscent of what the Remco package looked like, and even on the back, it's just line art and black and white photos for the cross sell, and the cross sell doesn't even show actual figures. These are photo retouched pictures of the actual wrestlers. So, and
it's a cool line. It's something that I keep saying I'm going to get into, but
right. And here we got Ric Flair's buck here, and I'm gonna put it right here. And
but the connections are the same though, right? So like the
oh yeah,
like where the pegs work and the heads also work the same, right? Yep. Sorry, I don't mean to like.
No. People want to see this, and you bring up a good point. Ric Flair arm, He-Man body, pops right in. Skin tones off,
which would be interesting. The tone's off, but you could probably correct that after the fact. So if you wanted to have him like taking his, wristband off or something, there's some cool stuff you can do.
I'm probably going to make a Jungle He-Man, if you know what I'm talking about, from the original storybook comic, and I've actually showed off a prototype of that custom on this channel in a live stream previously. I don't know which one, been so long ago, but I'm probably going to use the legs on upper torso, not the boots, but the legs and upper torso of a Ric Flair figure, maybe not this one or just a different one,
right? Because the musculature is great.
Yeah, and I'm going to use that for the He-Man that I'm going to do, and the flesh tone of the face may or may not match. I have no clue, but that can be fixed as well if it's too far off. So
sure.
So as we can see, the skin tone on Ric Flair doesn't match either one of the figures that are on display now. and I'm going to try to put his robe back on and retie it while we're still live. So
We'll see how the bum, 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 bum.
yeah, I'm doing that now. And Jim, I want to thank you for coming on the show with me today, because otherwise I'd be trying to find something to say while I'm doing all this right here. And now I have you on the show to bump off of, so that it keeps
Well,
me
sure.
dead time.
And I have as most people watching probably know, I have a custom Wun-Dar that was made for me out of a Wave 1 He-Man. And I like having that version because it is the original sculpt that they would do with Origins, which I don't use on any of my He-Man figures because I prefer the vintage sculpt. And so it's nice to have that differentiation. It's a painted Zodak armor from Origins. Everything's been repainted. He looks wonderful. Um, but hand painted can be really good. There's a lot of great painters out there, and the guy that did my Wun-Dar, Nerd Rage, shout out to him. He did a great
Nerd Rage
job.
Against the Machine. Nerd Rage Against the Machine.
That's right.
Norm, if you could find a link to that and stick it into the chat, I'd appreciate it if you're still here.
I believe he just got home. He just sent me a picture of the Superman that he is sending along, which is
Okay. All right.
just
Cool.
it's crazy. What was I gonna say? But when you look at something that's been molded in that plastic with the way that they do certain things, there's just certain kind of sheen to it that's
Uh-huh.
different from paint. And for all of my gripes about the way that this Wun-Dar was released, he's a beautiful looking figure. He really is. And He-Man's over there like, I don't have any guns. Wundar's like, I got a gun, and you can't have it. Get away from me.
Oh, well,
You ain't got the bread for it.
all right.
Dun 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 dun. Boing.
All right, we get the microphone back in his hand here. That's let me just say this on these superstars figures. The microphones that come with them, I have a feeling that these are the same microphones that that are currently being used with the WWE Mattel wrestling figures, the regular ones that are on the shelf, and so they don't fit in the hands of the superstars figures the way I think they should. So they're prone to pop out of their hands. So I'm carefully trying to make sure this microphone doesn't pop off into my floor and be lost forever. All right. I have Ric Flair back. I've reattached his robe. You tell me how well you think that looks.
I think it looks better than the first when you had it on before. I think it looks better personally.
Cool. Thank you. All right, now Rick, we're through with you now. Woo! Be the man. You got.
And that's the bottom line.
Space Mountain, baby.
Yeah, everyone says bottom line is a Stone Cold thing. Ric Flair did it first. Fight me.
He did, and for those of you who don't understand what Space Mountain's all about, Space Mountain is the oldest ride in the park and still has the longest line to go to it.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to put Ric Flair back with the box that I had those in and put it back up there. Now then, if anybody's got any questions about anything for today, let us know, and we will try to answer that. Boba Hicks says, slick, Ric Flair can keep Sorceress and Tila company in Castle Grayskull. Woo! Now you make me want to take a picture of Ric Flair with all of the ladies of the line surrounding him. Yep. So, Jim, you want me to go ahead and put Wun-Dar back together on his packaging and show him how that goes about? Because it is kind of tricky to get that plastic back in there.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
All right. Well, first of all, we're gonna do like Mama always said, and put your things back where they belong. So I've got to put him back where he belongs. Otherwise, he'll stay out here until next week. So, and those of you who may not know where I keep my figures in a vintage Masters of the Universe case that was it was made by Terra Toy Company back in the day, and that just works out great for storing these figures as well as the vintage, because when you crouch them up like they're fixing to take a dump, like the old figures looked, they fit right in the case like the old figures did. There we go. So in he goes. Speaking of which, I'm going to have to buy a new case of these, because now I have enough figures to where I can justify having. I've already got one, two, three, 4 cases. I can justify a 5th case for these figures, and the prices on those are a little high in my opinion, but they're reasonable still. And
yeah, around 40-50 bucks typically is what they charge.
Yeah, and the problem is finding the interior trays intact.
Right.
Because they're made out of cheap, crappy plastic that just gets torn up.
Yeah, and the thing is, if it's not something that you worry about, like some people wouldn't care about that, and you could easily make some inserts out of slotted cardboard, which wouldn't be too difficult to do.
I've
If you really
thought about
wanted to.
that. I've thought about two or three different methods of doing that, and if I come up with something that's doable, I will feature that here, folks. I guarantee you, I'm going to share with you how to do that.
Now on the same
Most
token,
people don't do this. They just throw the weapons in the back. But I'm putting mine back in the baggie that they came in, because I was actually able to save that baggie.
well, sure.
And I'm going to fold that top over and roll it up. And since I actually saved the rubber here, I'm going to use this rubber to keep it from opening back up again. So there we go.
Reuse, recycle, kids.
All right, so Wun-Dar's got to go back in here. So we're going to crouch him up so that he fits back in his little place there, and bend his arms. And he should just go right back in there like he came out. And kids, make sure that you put his fists in the holes that they go in before you try to put it back in place, because if you don't, they will get knocked out of place and they won't stay in right. So there he is. He's back in just exactly the way he was before. Now we're going to just put this and kind of hold it in the back here with our finger.
And you could just put him face down and put the package over top if you wanted to.
That's true. You can just stick it right in here.
Well, yeah.
Do that. All right. Now I've got to do a little bending here. I got to bend this kind of like that, and I've got to bend this kind of like that, and kind of work it down back in there, because
you got to work it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's narrower here at the top than it is at the bottom. So that means that can you see that there on the screen there, Jim? How?
Yes, sir.
And so that means that you kind of have to work this back into the package, because it's wider up down here than it is up there. So either start at the top or the bottom. I think the bottom starting at the top may be easier than starting at the bottom, and just kind of work that back down in there without breaking that plastic. Now the thing is, I got him in there. The thing is, now people be really, really careful, because this plastic is prone to split. And once you've split it, you're not putting it back together again. And I don't want anybody to split the plastic and everything. So now you just put that back in place and kind of get it down there, and he's back in his package He was before, and there you go. And now, for storage purposes, I can even put him back in his mailer box, the box that this came in. So,
Which, especially with the way that you're doing the repackaging, is a really nice way of keeping the figure. And even if you're just keeping the packaging, that secondary bubble, it's a pretty genius little thing. And it kind of makes me go, well, crap, because you've seen how many of those bubble tops I've just thrown away.
mm-hmm.
Like, because again, with the exception of about half of the most recent wave, I've got them all. But then again, on my shelf right now, I've got 5 figures sitting there, 6. So
Now, all right, Jim. Help me out here, because my hoarding tendencies are starting to work on me here. I do customizations of different things.
mm-hmm.
I'm going to save this because I might make a window out of it for a house, for a figure or something like that.
Okay, so here's my suggestion to keep clutter down. Put them in the same box. Put it in the same box.
Put it down in here with
Yeah,
$1.
just put it in the loose top. That way you know where it is.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then plus you don't have to find a place to store it, and you can keep all the original pieces with the figure.
That's fair. Makes perfect sense, Jim.
Like I said, I have my moments. I was watching a Mark Maron comedy special last night. I like the way he thinks through things. And he has
I
this
like
whole
Mark
bit.
Maron too. He had a show on one of those cable channels that
FX,
was kind of loosely based on his
Maron.
own life. I loved that show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and if you're into wrestling, folks, and you remember Glow wrestling back in the day, Mark Maron played in that that version of that they did. That was total fiction, but it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great way of like paying homage to that time, and certainly showed how things were to a certain degree, even if it was all fictionalized. But he had a whole bit on having the box of cables and the box of cords. He's called the cord box, and how he hoards all those. And he has this imaginary scenario where someone comes up to him with a Palm Pilot and says, "If you have a charging cable for this, I could save the both of us from this hell." He says, "Well, come on in. I think I got one." And then they save, like that's why he saves all the cables. So anytime I think about those types of things, like what we were just talking about with the bubble, I go to that.
Now, this shit here is going in the garbage, folks.
Thank you. Good.
So I just garbage that. All right, so let's hit the chat here.
Yes, sir.
Bruiser Brawler had one of those, and I'm not sure what he's talking about there, Jim. And he also says, no Wun-Dar for me, but my Coldar is on the way. Well, congratulations, sir. We appreciate that.
And he mentioned that he's got a tracking number, but it isn't yet in their system.
Okay.
Because mine isn't showing as shipped. Which, I mean, I'm happy that I got it. It was a complete fluke. Do you know that story?
No, go ahead, Jim.
It's a short one. I had just finished staging all of my gear to go to Retropalooza Houston on that Friday. Rob was due anytime. He got caught in traffic. Had he not gotten caught in traffic, we would have been on the road. And as luck would have it, about 20 minutes before he arrived, it went up. I saw the tweet, grabbed him, was able to get the pre-order, even doing a quick down and dirty video. And that video, if I sound frantic, it's because I'm like, just trying to talk through it and then get it up on the YouTube channel so we can get on the road. And so I don't think I would have gotten that Coldar figure had it not been for a traffic jam. And imagine my surprise when I get to Retropalooza and all the Motu collectors that I know, all of them had been on the road in some fashion or form and were not able to get it. Even Pixel Dan did not get a Coldar from that order. He was a little salty about it, as I recall.
I bet in somewhere or another that Mattel ended up giving him one.
or someone else, gifted it. He's got a network just like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know Dan. I hope he gets one, obviously,
Oh
but
yeah.
it just goes to show that when you've got someone who is very closely associated with the brand and is not an employee of Mattel, doesn't get one. It just goes because that thing sold out fast, and it isn't even that hot of a figure. You know what I mean? Like, because
Mhm.
that's a pretty. It's one of those things where it's like he's very much a nice to have. He's a nice to have figure. And I was grateful to get him, and it was one of the smoothest checkout experiences I've ever had. But I think that has more to do with it being Koldar than it has something Mattel Creations did. You
Right.
know, 'cause it was one of those things where they didn't have any hype for it. They dropped it, and I saw the tweet. I didn't even because normally I'll get a notification from Fraternia if I see Motu in it. I immediately click on it. But I saw Motu Origins Wun-Dar, and I was like, or Koldar, and I was like, I know what that is. I just went straight to Mattel Creations and did it within seconds. And that guy is so fast with these things that if you can, you know, go straight to the punch, you can usually beat out most of the stuff. Um, but it's interesting. Recently, with the Action Force stuff, he was actually late to the game on the fact that they were still up. It was Jim Largo who had tipped off the fact that there was still a lot of stuff in stock. We spread the word to all of our friends, and it wasn't until like late in the day, like 9 p.m. or something, that it was called out by some larger outlets, and we were like, "We got them all." you know,
Mhm.
it was nice to beat the rush on that shit. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Anyway, so
Oh, breaking news, and that's bad news. I'm sorry, man.
go ahead.
Um, Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura in the original series,
Oh, no, please, no.
89 years, she's gone.
Wow.
So I want
Wow.
to raise a mug to her for everything she did for science fiction, for people of color, and continuously being a bright voice in a dark void. You will be missed.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, that just brought back a memory of mine. I forget which one. You'll probably be able to tell me off the bat. But one of the Star Trek movies, she was in it, and she was up there in years at that point, probably in her 60s at that point.
Hmm.
And there was this one scene where she was just so sexy. I just
Doing the
I
dance.
yes,
Star Trek Five. Star
and
Trek Five,
I'm like
1989.
I'm like
Yep.
she's supposed to be my grandma, but she's hot, hot
Hmm.
to try.
Hmm. That's right.
But and as I get older, it doesn't really matter about that age at that point. I'm almost 52 years old now.
And that's why some of these movies age better as we age. And
Yeah,
I've always stood by the fact that Star Trek Five is possibly the perfect Sunday afternoon film.
five.
Yeah, just because there are a lot of movies that fall in that category. What I call a Sunday afternoon movie is something where you either start it right before you start cooking lunch or while you're eating lunch, and it's just you don't have
It
to
plays in the
over ingest.
background while you're eating and fixing your lunch. And yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're about right. Uh,
Star Trek Three is as well.
yeah, yeah. That was three was Search for Spock, right? It was
Hmm.
all the even movies. The even movies were good, and all the odd movies were kind of.
Now that said, with the recent revamp of the motion picture that
Mhm.
has just been released this year, currently you can watch it on Paramount Plus if you have it. If you don't have that, the disc is up for pre-order now. It had a very limited theatrical run earlier this year. I have seen it, and I will say that finally, it's a really good movie. Like
Oh
it functions,
well,
and there's
I'm
still
gonna have to check that out because a memory just popped into my head, and I'm going to share it with you and everybody else. I originally watched Star Trek: The Motion Picture with my sister and her husband when I was
maybe 6 or 7 years, maybe 8.
That was
78.
79, wasn't it? 79?
I was 8 years old, probably going on 9, in 1979, and so there was a movie theater in Memphis, and they were living next door to us at the time in my grandmother's little rental house, just getting started in their marriage at the time, and I was my sister's kid brother that, you know, they really didn't want to take me to the movie. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, I went with the movie with them.
Sure.
And I watched it, and I got a poster, and came home, and of course I didn't. I remembered very little about that movie, other than I went to it and that it was Star Trek. Afterwards, because of my age and my ability to retain what I watched, it's kind of like when I watched Star Wars when I was 7 years old. Anyway, so that's when I first watched the movie. Now, when I understood what was going on in the movie was many, many years later, and many means 4, 5, 6 years later, when I was a teenager. I got my hands on the paperback novel of Star Trek the movie.
I had that.
Excellent. If you've read that, it is an excellent thing, because it all those paperback novels, and Timothy Zahn wrote a bunch of them. I don't know who actually wrote the one for the Star Trek the motion picture, but he generally worked from the scripts, and these were the first working scripts for the movies, not necessarily the final script that came out of the movie. So you got cut scenes in there, you've got different dialogue, and a lot of this explains things that plot holes and things like that you may have noticed in the movie. And the scene with the transporter accident at the beginning of the movie, the way it's described in that paperback novel is horrifying compared to what you actually saw on screen. So, you know, and that memory just came back to my mind. And after I'd read the paperback novel, I remember, okay, now I got to watch this movie again, because I remember bits and pieces, but not all of it from when I watched it as a younger child. And then I remember going back and rewatching the movie and going, oh, this is shit compared to that novel that I just read. That novel I read was cool, because my imagination was much better special effects than what I saw on screen in the movie.
And yeah, and although they have tried it with a director's, I don't know if they call it the cut or edition, like the recent one and the one that came before. I'm not sure which one was called which.
Right.
The newest one, because they had revamped some of the effects. They went a lot further with this 4K restoration. Went further with the effects and cut sequences down a little bit. Everything makes a lot more sense. The pacing is far better, right? You still get some tremendous shots. A lot of the original effects are preserved. The ones that are really cool, like when they're traveling through the ship, like that kind of stuff. But it's not nearly as like 5 minutes of like this corridor. It's like, I get it. And it easily is the definitive version, and as well, I hope so, because this is the last time they're going to that well. And I have to say that finally we can say that the mold of odds and evens has been broken now. So if you were to watch this new version of Star Trek 1, 2, 3, and 4, you now have a complete, first 4 movies that are all on par with one another. Even if Star Trek 3 just bridges the gap between 2 and 4, it's a functional film. It's fun. There's some really cool drama in there, some great jokes in there. But if you watch them, even if you just watch 2, 3, and 4 together, that's a fun afternoon. But now I can confidently say that this new version of Star Trek 1, you just pop it right in there, and they fit together like peas in a pod, man.
Really well, I wasn't aware of that, Jim, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because that gives me some fodder to look forward to. I may have to put an eye patch on. Before we leave, I want to give everybody that's in the chat a shout out. I kept over 6 viewers for most of this session here today that's going on 2 hours, and I appreciate everybody who stayed till this bitter end. I'll stay on for just a little while longer. If you have questions for me or Jim about anything, pop that into the chat, and we'll try to hit that. Jim, do you have any final words today?
Well, I hope my final words aren't for a very long time, but the last, as far as like,
the stream, sir.
yeah, I know. Closing thoughts. I think despite all of the drama surrounding the procurement of a Wun-Dar figure, if you're serious about Motu Origins, and this is going to be a controversial statement for me to say, even to you, um, relative to the cost of what I've seen some other exclusive figures go for, the current running, average price is not obscene. It's around $50. It's 50 to $60, which, considering how difficult it is to get this particular figure, it's not the worst thing in the world. If you do want one, and based upon what you've seen today with your opening, what I've seen with that, I'm confident that it's worth that investment. I will probably be getting one in a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll get lucky and the price will have gone down a little bit. But luckily, there's
interrupt you real quick, Jim.
The one silver lining to the bots is that at least they bought enough that the aftermarket is saturated enough that the price is not 100, 200, all this crap. So at least it's still attainable, although that it should never have gotten to that place to begin with. That's a well-worn story, but it's a beautifully sculpted figure. I love the artwork on it, but of course, I'm going to open him and have him as part of my natural collection, and I'm confident with that, seeing the quality of the figure that you received. Just enough differences to make him worthwhile. I'm going to have a lot of fun having my custom Wun-Dar and the Origins Wun-Dar together, going like, hey, you look familiar. So I think it's worthwhile, and I love what you shared with the package opening here. I'm gonna get this question here in a second. But overall, I would have to say that I'm really glad that I tuned in. Certainly that I'm on today, and that the Wun-Dar delivers the goods, so to speak. I would have been very upset if when he came out that it was like, because you know what it's like when you get a figure that looks like it's slapdash.
Oh yeah,
This does not look like a slapdash figure at all.
no, it's a quality figure. And I'll
Yes.
let you get to Boba Hicks in just a second. There was a thought that I had,
Mhm.
and now it escapes me. Bill, do I collect Transformer? No, I do not. Oh, at the price point, you had said that you hoped you get one at a decent price point, and I do too. I hope you do. I hope you get one at a more reasonable price point than I did. And I'll go ahead and share with everyone here. When you go through your eBay listings, there's a couple of things that you need to look for. First of all, discard the price points that go above $60. I'm just going to put it at 60 right now, okay? Because the average is about $55 to $60.
Mhm.
Look for free shipping.
Yep. Look at the reputation of the seller as well.
That's the other thing I was going to get to. You look at their reputation, because that means a lot. If they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits by their name, I'd skip them. I hate to say that because you have to start somewhere, but on this particular thing, I would skip those people because you might get burnt. The other thing is look at their negative hits.
Yes.
Versus positives, and see
now
why.
if they're typically if they're at 10 or above with no negative or neutrals, I'll take the plunge. But under 10, I'm very wary. So in those cases, I look at what they're selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the feedback has been generated, if it's similar type items and the feedback is positive, I might roll the dice. But if it's 10 or above and it's all 100%, I'm cool with it.
And Jim, I appreciate that. I'll take a look at them. Okay. Boba Hicks had a question for you, Jim.
Yes.
What's grabbing your attention on Transformers?
So Boba has been talking to me about this, and when there was a recent stream this morning with Toy Connections and a few panelists, and based upon the feedback I got from everybody, I'm basically looking at the Studio Series 86, Earthrise, Kingdom, and a few others, sprinkled in because they scale together fairly well. Because what I'm looking for with Transformers, as I do with most toy lines, most, I just want a definitive character set of the characters I want in the scales that match, and once I have the characters I want, I can stop. And based upon the feedback, that's kind of where I'm going. I'm looking for not every single G1 character, but a smattering. Your Optimus Primes, your Megatrons, your Soundwave, Starscream, all the Dinobots. There's the Combiner Wars Devastator, which is beautiful and scales well. Obviously, and I've said this a billion times over, it's one of the first toys that I've called out when I started collecting. I said, if I can find a decent large scale Unicron uh, for around 300, I'd be a happy guy. Because for as big as that has to be, it's got to be a solid, 2 to 3 feet tall. I'm willing to pay a high premium for something that large. I don't mind that. And Unicron is far and away my favorite Transformers character, with Soundwave being a close second. And I kind of lean into Decepticons a lot, although I have my love for Autobots for sure. Most of what I want from G1 are just a few of the key characters. I want most, if not all, of the characters that were introduced in the film because I love that film. It's my favorite animated film of all time, possibly my favorite, just in terms of enjoyment, film of all time. Not the best, but one of my favorites. And I have that film on I have 3 or 4 versions of it on VHS. I've got 2 of the DVDs, every Blu-ray release, the 4K release, posters, soundtracks, and all the formats. That's the one little place where I go a little nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I haven't really started collecting them. The only Transformers I currently have are these little miniature core ones that have come out, and Gogatron got me started on those. I've
Okay.
been cherry picking those along the way, and I don't know if they're going to be releasing any more, but I have more or less a complete set of the G1 characters that they've released so far. If they keep doing them, I'll keep buying those as well. But I am currently seeking the larger scale figures from the lines that I discussed, including some legacy stuff. But I have no desire to collect the original G1s. They're too brittle. They don't look right, and they're too expensive. I would much rather have close to cartoon accurate in robot mode, and I'd be happy. I don't really care about the vehicle modes because some of those they've updated, which doesn't bother me. If they look accurate to the cartoon, stand them on the shelf, done. Happy. Give me one shelf of great characters and a Unicron behind them. Happy guy. That's what I'm looking for.
That's fair, and I hope that answered your question there, Moa Hicks. And I was a little short with you just a minute ago when it's about collecting Transformers. Let me clarify that I like Transformers. I watched the Transformers cartoon. I was a little old for the Transformers and the cartoon when it first came out. I was transitioning from a child into a teenager at the time, and I enjoyed the cartoon when I could get a chance to watch it. Uh, I did have an Optimus Prime figure with the trailer attached with it, with the little car that went in it, whatever that was. It had a little mandibles or something on it, if I remember correctly. And I might have had one, maybe 2 others of the original Wave 1 figures, but they were out of my price range because by this point, nobody would buy me toys anymore, which meant I had to buy my own toys with my own money, which meant that I had to be like I am now. Again, I had to pick and choose, and Transformers were just a little high for me at the time, so I didn't get very many of them. Like I said, 1 or 2 maybe. So I never really got into the collecting those. And as far as my collecting goes, I don't do a lot of modern collecting, as Jim well knows. The Origins line is one of the few modern collections that I do. I do very
few Marvel Legends, if any at all. I do have some in the collection. I actually have some that are kind of been out a while that I need to open, and that's fodder for future streams. I'm not going to waste that. I've got Character Options Doctor Who figures, which are, I guess they're still releasing those. I don't know. But I've got most of the original series figures from that line. But as far as toy collecting goes, I'm vintage. We're talking Superpowers, Shogun Warriors. Yeah, I do have some wrestling figures, but I stopped collecting those when the wrestling, I quit paying attention to the wrestling. So that is what it is. But when I started collecting, I started out collecting the toys that either I had as a child that I enjoyed, or the toys I wanted as a child and never got, such as Evil Knievel. I've got the Evil Knievel stunt cycle. I've got Evil Knievel's scramble van. I've got a custom version of Evil Knievel's Sky Cycle, the one that he crashed in the Snake Mountain. These things you're going to see eventually on this show, and I've got just stuff like that I've collected over years. I've got a vintage Mousetrap game over here, Jim, and it's the first release of the Mousetrap game, and it works. And one of these days, I'm going to put that thing together on a live stream and just show it off. That's what I collect. So that's why I'm not collecting modern G.I. Joe figures. I've got G.I. Joe figures from back when I was a kid, and I'm happy with those. I did grab some of the re-releases of the real Ghostbusters figures when they came out on the retro cards, but I have vintage of all of that. So I collect what I didn't get as a child and what I really enjoyed as a child. I've got a working ROM Space Knight toy over here that you're going to see someday.
That's one of those ones where there's such a lore to that figure, because having seen the ads in the comics and knowing about the comic itself, and even though the figure itself's kind of meh, like it's not great, it's just one of those pieces. Is like, that'd be just cool to have on the shelf, which you have, but because you have one and I can see it, quote, whenever I want, unquote, I don't feel I have to go out and get it. It's kind of like, having collector friends these days reminds me so much of being a child and going over to someone else's house and say, "Oh, look at all the shit you have."
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, very cool in that respect. And it's one of my favorite things about not only being a collector, but having a community of people that are willing to get on camera and show their stuff off. It's one of the favorite aspects of all the different hobbies that one can have, that are in the real world. Video games are kind of a different thing, although collecting the physical, that's a very similar thing. But playing them, that's a different thing. But physically, um, toy collecting, I find, is so much more visceral than collecting films, because it's one thing to walk into someone's office or den and see a wall of movies, and that's fun. It's like a library and everything else. Same thing with books to a certain degree, but toys are such they're tangible, they're visceral, there's an emotional attachment that very few other things have. Because I've never heard, 'cause I know a lot of people that like collected precious moments. My mother was one of them. And things like that, or like certain kind of statuettes, things like that. They're cool to look at, and they're pieces of art. They are what they are. But I've never seen someone who collects something like that look at someone else's collection of those and with a reverence that a toy collector does.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's envy, but not like a oh. And it's almost as good to see it and not have it than to have it. It's almost as good. It's close with toys. Not the same. Like, I collect the retro video games. If I see a cartridge of a game that I want and I don't have, I don't go, "Ooh, it was cool to see it," because I want the game. I want what's inside. You know what I mean? But to
Yeah,
see something,
and talking about video games, you know, listen, Susan, I'm not condoning this, at all. And don't do this. But the thing is, with as far as video games goes, there's so many emulators out there that you can go to the places where you're not supposed to go to get these things and do the things that you're not supposed to do, and you can get what you need to put in that emulator on your PC at home, and you can play the damn video game just like you did back in the day.
Sure, right. And for me, because that exists, and there's also many, many, many non-sneaky ways to play those games in other forms, especially with the Nintendo stuff these days. There's plenty of ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those opportunities allow me to collect only the physical games that I really want to have from a nostalgic standpoint and an artwork standpoint, and not have to go over complete sets like a lot of people have done in the past. Like now I can play any game I want, and I can collect the ones that I want to have physical, just to be like, I have this, because I like reaching up on a shelf, be it a film, a toy, a game, anything, and be able to point to it and say, be able to explain in just a few short sentences why I own that. What's the reason you have this? And if it doesn't connect to some kind of an emotional response from either the item itself and what it relates to my past, or a story about how I acquired it, something that has a connection. If there's no connection to that item, that's when I don't bother with those things. So toys, however, do not have that digital component. The closest thing would be like any cartoons or movies or anything like that that are associated with, but it's not the same. And I find for people to have multiple different types of collections, that rings true most of the time. And when we were having a similar discussion about the Transformers on that live stream, I didn't participate. I was a viewer, but in chat we were having a discussion, and someone was like, "Dude, like space is a factor with these Transformers." Like, aha. But you see, I'm buying a house with my collection in mind, not the other way around. Like, I don't care if I have to buy a house with land to build a 3-car garage with no front doors and just make it a big collection room of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be willing to do that. And not everyone's going to have that opportunity. We talk about the universe providing and everything happening for a specific reason, regardless of where that belief comes from. I think the reason I haven't bought a house until this point in my life has more to do with the fact that I haven't really needed one. I thought I did, and I didn't. And I was like, well, I need a place for all this stuff. So
Right.
now's a good time and everything. And I do see a question from chat from Jim Largo about the auction from yesterday, about when we can uh, pay for the winning bids. I am looking at the site now, and every piece of help information I can find seems to allude to the fact that it defaults to when the event technically ends.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way that I set things up initially, it was not set to end until the clock strikes midnight Central Time tonight. So, from what I understand, based upon the information that is available to me now and what the original settings were, midnight tonight Central Time. So that means about 8 hours and 18 minutes from now, emails are going to go out to everybody. You'll be able to pay for all of your auctions in one transaction. From what I understand, that's what's supposed to happen. I corroborated with their help, and after I saw the question, I went and looked again to see if there's anything I have to click. There's nothing I can click at this point. But that should go out tonight. Now, if anyone that is currently watching, including Jim, if you don't see that stuff, let me know. Um, but I have a very strong feeling, because it does say last item ends because it's I actually, can I share my screen real quick?
Go ahead.
This might help illustrate it to folks to show that I'm not just talking out of my considerable butt. Here we go. So if you look right here, it says last item ends 9 hours 16 minutes, and that is where we're sitting. So I would be inclined to believe that, based upon that, plus the other context that I have, you can pull that off now. Based on the context that we have, that's probably what's holding everything up. And that's my screw up. So I apologize to everyone. I know there's several people like, dude, I don't want to pay for this shit before I forget. And you're supposed to get an email with a link that'll take you to a shopping cart to go whoop and just get one thing in there, and
Mm-hmm.
everything should be fine. And because once you've completed that process, I already have everyone's information in terms of contact information, and with email, it should give us options for addresses, things like that. But I'll be able to communicate with folks directly via email for any of that stuff. We'll make sure it all happens. But as far as the timing, um, I have to believe, based upon this, that that's when it's happening. Um, and if it doesn't, I will be in touch with their site and be like, "Yo, buddy, we got stuff to do."
Yeah.
So that
Well,
that is everything that I know about it.
I'm pretty sure that everything's going to work out the way you think it will, Jim. And I know that if it does not, that you have the ability to fix this where everybody can do this correctly. So no fears, everybody. We've got contingency and backup plans on this as well. So
Not to mention, if we were ever to do something like this again,
mm-hmm.
everything that I've learned about this,
Mm-hmm.
um, it will go a billion times smoother.
Yes.
So I'm confident enough, if you'll indulge me, to make the announcement here, and I'll certainly have to make it again later.
Yeah, of course.
Um, but in 2 weeks' time from yesterday, we're going to dip back into the well. We're going to take everything that I learned from the experience from last time. I think because I looked at how many people that had actually visited the auction. It was in the hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the way we were doing things, I think we missed out on a lot of potential sales. So, what we're going to do is we're going to relist everything that didn't originally sell.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have the entire event go for a set period of time. And I think it'll be 5 to 6 hours, not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Set it up in advance to start of the stream and end at the end of the stream. We're going to have a hard out. It will be on a Saturday. It'll probably start at the same time, perhaps an hour earlier, depending upon logistics. But I do feel like, because I don't want to. I struggled with it at first because man, I was like, you're not going to ever see this again. It's like, well, why not? Why not? Why not give you an opportunity to have this stuff?
Yeah.
Because it's only going to go to the same cause to help out, give people an opportunity, and I might comb through my collection because I probably have some doubles that I'm just not aware of
Right.
somewhere. So I might put some of my own collection up there as well.
That sounds
And
like
if
a
anyone
great
else,
idea. I mean, I might have some stuff here. We'll just have to work on that. As a matter of fact,
and I would also open that up.
Jim, could you stick around for maybe 5 minutes or so after
Yeah,
this?
yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
And I would also like to say I would open that up to members of my community that also have offered some things for sale in the past. We could list everything and do it right so
Mhm.
that the logistics will make more sense. So basically, if I set it up properly in the first place, and part of the reason that we ran into that problem was that the timing was weird. But now that I have everything I need from Rolo, it'll be a very simple situation to fix things around. I can take my time and get it right. So we'll do that in 2 weeks' time and give people a second chance at everything that they didn't get a chance to get this time around, with the end time and the invoices going out on the same day, so you can purchase everything and make it easy for everybody else. So
Sounds great, Jim. It sounds great. Like I said, we'll hash out the logistics of that between now and then. I want to tell everybody thank you for being here. Most of you guys stayed the whole way with me this time, and I appreciate that. I want to thank the new people who came in to watch today. Miss Holly Perrin, thank you so very much. And Boba Hicks, thank you for your subscription today. I appreciate that. I don't know how far I am away from 500 after today, but I'm at least one, maybe two subscribers closer than I was when I started today.
yes, sir.
I also want to say, if you can, please consider supporting this channel through Patreon. There's a link in the description of the channel to my Patreon, and you will also see it here in the end section in just a second. Go ahead, Jim.
You are 3 away from 500, sir.
That may happen in the next week. Then that may happen in the next week because I generally tend to get a subscriber or two from the restream later when people that weren't here show up and watch what we were talking about. So thank you, everyone. Will McLaughlin says it's 497. So I can see my goal in mind, and when I reach 500. I'm going to have a 500 party. So you Patreons, get prepared because when I reach 500, I'm going to have a Patreons only 500 party, and that's one of the reasons why I need Patreons as well. I'm going to give you something for your support. So your support is not just giving me some money. Your support is going to support this channel. It's buying the equipment that I need to make a better channel. It's to buy the software I need to make a better channel and to afford the software I'm already using, because StreamYard, in order to do the things that some of the things that I've done today, I have to have a subscription to StreamYard to do it. And right now, my Patreons are helping me with my subscription, but I haven't yet got enough Patreons so the Patreons can keep my subscription going by themselves. So
not to get UNICEF on everybody, but just for example, $5 Patreon for Bill. There's not a lot of exclusive content on there yet, but we do hangouts there. But you'll reap dividends for the content you're already watching. It's a great way to invest in the channel, and the more capabilities that he has, the more he'll be able to do in the future. But just for point of reference, we're talking about 16.6 cents a day, less than 20 cents a day. You can find that in your seat cushions, for crying out loud. $5. I mean, come on, give a man $5, because I've already seen from the time that I became a patron of Bill's to today, there's been a complete overhaul of his visuals, his camera. He's making good on the promises he's made with regard to upping the thing. And the more people that become patrons of his, it fuels that fire and gives him the peace of mind. So please consider doing that, because I can speak from personal and professional experience that, my patrons are doing very much the same for me. They're really helping out with, for example, my StreamYard subscription is covered by my Patreon, and that's where that money comes from. That's the way I have it set up, and it makes life a lot easier, and it also allows me to invest in other Patreons. So you're supporting me, you're helping me support others. There's equipment that's involved and things that make the show go. We're not taking this money and just going and buying toys and stuff like that. That's a whole different ball of wax.
As a matter of fact, if you actually just visit my Patreon page, you'll see what I tell you on there is absolutely true. 100% of what you let me have there on Patreon out of the goodness of your heart is going to go into this show. It's not going to go into my shelf. It's going to go into my show.
That's right.
So you know that I'm not just taking your money and going on a wild spending spree with it. I'm going to invest it in this show. As a matter of fact, as a Patreon, you get to have exclusive ability to chat with me. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing during those chats. So that's another reason to be a Patreon, because you get that exclusive content as well, and you get to help me and be in the background helping me as well. And
absolutely.
On that note, I think we're going to end this one for today. And like I said, I want to thank those of you who showed up today that I haven't seen before. Miss Holly Perrin is one of those. Boba Hicks, I don't know if you've been here before, but I appreciate you coming in and supporting me by with your subscription today. I saw where you subscribed. And we're going to cut this one short. I'm going to get ready to play this one out here in just a second, Jim. Make sure there's not anything else that needs to be said before I do this thing.
No, we're good, man. Let's go.
All right, so I'm going to take you out. It's just me. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see y'all next time. Special thanks to our Patrons. Without your support, these videos would not be possible.
If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like and subscribe and share the video. Thank you.